What up?
All right,
What's
here
going
we
on,
are.
everybody? I'm Mike Van Beek. That's Mr. Kirk Stevens, the illustrious, educated, illustrious. I don't even know what illustrious means. Sounds good, though.
It
Kirk
does.
Stevens.
It does. It sounds better than it should for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
today
you guys
we're
are
going to talk
crushing
about
it today.
Yeah.
We're going to go over some, again, anytime, anywhere USA kind of story. And I think this happens everywhere. But hope you guys are crushing it today. And this podcast does something for your awareness or get some conversation going amongst you and your peers, the ones that are beneficial in terms of your safety. Mr. Kirk Stevens, what do we got?
Well, we have, like you said, this probably happens. Well, it does happen every day. It probably happens way more than we think. But it's about the classic creeper, the creepy guy approaching a young lady. So a young lady, this particular story is a young lady sunbathing on a beach, and which is her God-given right?
Right, absolutely. By yourself, yeah?
She's by herself, and she's approached by a stranger, and she right off the bat she feels a little weird, but he starts asking her really strange questions to her. He starts asking her questions. He's just peppering her with questions. So she says he asked about her credit score, about her finances, asked about people in her life, if she had people that loved her.
Hey, you know those guys? Yeah, you know those guys that are like, they try to make fraternity, so they have to do these weird things. I think if you're trying to get into like the next terrorist group or something,
yeah,
you have to do a pledge, and this was the pledge, right? Go out and try. Human trafficking is a serious issue,
yeah,
right? But this guy's what's your credit score? What's this? And I seen the pictures, and the pictures made him look Middle Eastern. Yes,
it did, yeah,
it did. Yeah.
yeah. Something.
Again, there's no any of that stuff, but I want to touch on something that might be touchy. People would say, and you say that's her God-given right because you don't want to deal with the fact that someone says, well, she may deserve that. She's out there in a bikini by herself. She not deserves it. There's a school that says she deserves it, and those people are nuts. That's ridiculous. In this country, you should be able to go to the beach by yourself and lay out without the threat of, right?
That's right.
The difference between us as successful human beings in this world we live in today and certain primate people who found themselves extinct is that we can actually do that. I can actually walk by a woman and not feel the desire to rape her, be within in a civil society, right?
That's right.
But in this girl's case, is it necessarily a bad thing that she was by herself, or can you look at that girl and say to her, you should kind of expect that? Kind of, right? I think we live in a world where our greatest aspiration is, I want to live in a world, right? I want to live in a world where that's not an issue.
Right.
I want to live in a world where I never get a flat tire either. Yes?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Or at least expect to, or be prepared for it, right?
Right, because I don't want a spare tire, but I don't want to have a flat tire, but my problem around that is having a spare.
Right.
Having a backup of something.
Having a backup. Have something just in case. So
yes.
So there is a way of thinking out there that says, well, if you're in a bikini, you're flaunting, whatever. I don't know. Or if you don't want that kind of attention, don't dress for it. But that's like, with this analogy, that's like saying, if you don't want a flat tire, don't drive your car. That doesn't make sense. So it's not doing it, it's preparing for it. Yeah. Contingency.
Right. And it is really just about preparation. Victory favors the prepared. So I'm not saying she should go to the beach with a semi-automatic mag kind of thing hanging around her bikini top. Just merely suggesting that forethought come into play. Obviously, that's why she grabbed her phone.
That's right. Get those dogs. Yeah, no doubt. So she's peppered with these weird questions, right? And then he starts asking her sexual questions. He takes it to the next level, asking her inappropriate sexual questions.
Man.
Says something like she has tattoos. He says something like, you must like pain since you have tattoos. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously that line of questioning would give you rise to, that, yeah. Again, it, that's a cultural, right? And again,
Yeah.
maybe boasting towards, that's the cultural forwardness of a group of people that guy comes from.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
cultural
Right.
forwardness and just using that fear factor, that male dominance. A lot of that culture is very male dominant, and they come to a place like America or something. And I'm not suggesting he's obviously, but if you're from America, you wouldn't talk that way. You wouldn't walk up to a woman and ask her credit score. Right?
Right.
So I'm just speculating, but that line of questioning would definitely give him up. That would exactly tell me. So now she's in a position where she feels this dude's asking me questions that obviously make me see right through him.
Right.
Right. So
Something's up. Right. Yeah.
he's either stupid or just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the latter.
Yeah.
And a little bit of the both.
Maybe a little bit of both. Right. But if you're just stupid, the questions don't always go there. Right. I mean,
right.
It could be innocent and off the wall. These aren't innocent questions. These are it's aggressive. It's aggressive questioning.
Really. Yeah. Very, very aggressive questioning. And so we have to go back and look at what we would normally do as human beings in an emotional state. I'll be honest with you, I cannot put my head in this young woman's head.
Yeah.
On the beach. But I can in other scenarios. So in her situation, play it forward. She went ahead and started recording herself, right? In her own selfie back and getting the guy.
Yep, that's right.
Super, super bright when it comes to forethought. I mean, they have a video camera of this guy. If something goes happen and she leaves her phone.
Yep. And he didn't know.
There's some evidence. Yes. And so, yeah. But she continued to ignore him, turned her back to him, which in some countries is very disrespectful, may cause more aggressiveness, right? So she completely turned her back, laid on her stomach, and was doing that thing. And I think documenting it the way she did it appropriate. But again, you're back to this question. The guy wound up walking away, leaving, yeah?
Yeah, her phone rang. Somebody called her. Her phone rang. She picked it up and started talking, and I believe she started talking about this, and he left. So as soon as he realized she was connecting with somebody and had a line to somebody else, he left.
Yeah, well, good street smarts for her. I think that takes, obviously it's a beach, so she's not the only person there, right? If she was the only person there, then you'd want to walk up and go, lady, are you guys filming a movie or something? Or right? You have, yeah. So you go to a place, just as anybody would. I don't know that I would go to a beach where I was the only one. I would feel kind of vulnerable there.
Right.
So unless it was my own property, or you know what I mean? So
right.
I think that in that case, there was other people there. He's not going to do something right out in public. I think she did the right thing. But I think when we're talking about this guy, we're talking about a bigger array and group of people, these creepers, you'll call them, these people who like to stalk women, and we won't even go what's going on in their head, right? But the behavior is very aggressive in these days. Whether it's from those countries that have male domineering presence over anything,
ownership or entitlement.
Yes. I see a huge uptick in that kind of, I'm not saying rape or anything, but that kind of presence when females talk about these creepers, they're like the society has a presence in it cultivating that level of creeper.
Right.
Very aggressive, very swinging for the fence on the first yes.
Yeah.
Grabbing you by the arm going, come with me. Kind of what? Not even a hello, not even a, hey, where do you live? Nothing. Right. And so I see a huge uptick in that. And it is very kind of like, what? And then by the time you're worried about hurting someone's feelings or being defensive, you're 3 or 4 steps and he's in your face and you're again. Right. And then
That's right.
as a passerby, or what do people do when they see a domestic? They go,
that's right.
Turn the other cheek. And so it's very easy to pass off a predatorial act as a masquerading as a domestic violence. Honey, get in the car. Come on. I'm not your honey or whatever, right? Why not?
Yeah, people don't know what to do.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I think sometimes these kind of things can be written off. People can write them off like, oh, they're just being rude or too forward or a jerk or something like that. But there's a real I think there's a real danger there. Not that every time that happens, there's violent intent, but people who commit violence, directly like that, or kidnapping like that, this is on that continuum.
Well, I think you have to start with a principle. The principle is that, insofar in this country it exists, is that we teach people how to treat us.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's well said. Yeah.
And so this, when it comes to creeping, is about refining boundaries, as this girl did on the beach. It's about being okay with saying no. And it's what I call pulling out your bitch card, kind of like in the get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
And I say that, I say, women, and I'll ask women, I said, have you ever buried someone that you love? Have you ever been divorced? Have you caught your husband cheating? Has, caught him dressing up as a woman? Some crazy thing that really brought you to want to slit your own throat, right?
Yeah.
Throw up. Yeah. Make that into a card, harness all that energy and put it in there.
Yeah.
And when it comes time and you look at that guy and you go, hey, this is for you. And be able to go. So, do you have what it takes to be able to establish parameters, say no, and do those things? Yes. And you will more when you weaponize yourself with being able to fight, is weaponizing your hands, right? So when you weaponize yourself, you'll feel no qualms with going, listen, stay the fuck back. Can I help you? Can I help you? Excuse me. Can I help you? Thank you. No, move. Mr. 6'1", 220. It's okay.
Right.
No, kind of thing. Yes?
Yeah, that's right.
There's identification, there's boldness there, right? And so most predator and creeper people need, whether they do it aggressively or whether they do it passively, there's books written on this. This is not a secret within the industry, that if they have privacy, they have control. It's the PC idea. So you should always do everything in your power to never be alone with that person. Never let them take you to a place. Never. And creepers will do that. They'll follow you to a place of your privacy or get you to a place of their privacy. It's the in-between that gives you the greatest opportunities for survival. And that starts with boundaries and parameters.
Yeah, so those kind of things where they manipulate to privacy, that can start with a conversation like this, right? I mean,
right. It's that team. Yes, it starts with we used to examine, the friendship, the bonds that people make, creepers, right? They don't go the aggressive route, and even though I see an uptick in that,
yeah,
there's still that whole craft.
Yeah,
that creepers use. It's almost a sickness. It's a craft where they're trying to lure somebody, right, to a location, and the amount of time and energy they put into it is unbelievable. So they will put in hours upon hours of time being a character to bring this person in, and they'll talk to each other on planes. They'll do this facade everywhere they need to be, right, and see how far they can get. It's a game to them. So they can get
cultivating people or interviewing them or
yes.
Interviewing and cultivating like that, huh?
Yes. You can do this. So where do you live? Just mild conversation. That's done by either bumping into somebody like, you missed the bus? Me too. Let's take a cab. I follow you, and then I purposely bump into you at the coffee shop, and I go, I'm so sorry. All right. A week later, I make it look like you tripped me on accident in the 7-Eleven. And then I go, lady, quit stalking me. And I guarantee by the third time we're having dinner. Right? Those are the kind of people that stalk women on a high level. Right? And so by the third time, you got to think either this guy is right, especially if you're married, especially if those things. Right? And so there are those people who put that time in.
Yeah.
But
that really requires learning how to, we should talk about this extensively, but really learning how to be aware of your environment, right? Pay attention. Otherwise, you can write those things off as coincidence or providence or whatever, but pay attention, and if things seem a little bit, this woman, she seemed a little bit off right away. So I don't know. I'm not sure when she started recording, but she started recording.
But again, I want to go. Can we go back to that statement of saying that she obviously doesn't deserve it, but knowing that that's the sense, wouldn't you weaponize yourself?
Yeah.
And listen, I will say that, and I say this boldly, and this somewhat apologetically, I will say that And there's a lot of places out there, even if you do sport, right? There's a lot of places that offer the ability, the idea in onset of rape and starting off with creeping first, right? Coming to a pinnacle of rape, perhaps murder, is not a new thing.
Right.
And for those of you who don't know, Mr. Kirk Stevens over there studies some Hebrew stuff. He knows some first century Judaism stuff. And so let me ask you a question. A woman walking down the road, safe or not in that time period?
No. By herself? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Raped, killed? Absolutely. Yes?
Right.
On a good day. So,
Right.
yes. And so the innards of man really haven't changed, but we've taken away, because crime is made up of two components, the ability and the willingness. We attach a penalty to the doing of such things, so it deters the willingness, right?
Yeah.
We deter the ability. Yes?
That's good.
So
yeah.
we enhance people's skill set, weaponizing them, increasing their ability, decreasing the attacker's ability. So he doesn't have the ability anymore because we become educated and we become skilled.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that either happens either because you've been a victim and you've tuned that up, in which case there's some PTSD and some other things go along with it, or because you've been trained. That's it.
Yeah, it's really good. So if you grew up in a rough setting where you had to learn it, you might have that, but there's a lot of baggage, right?
Yeah, man, to unpack that is
not necessarily worth
someone
it.
didn't love me and that hurts. Yeah. You know?
Well, some of the easiest victims out there are people who grew up in really stable homes because they didn't get people yelling at them.
That's what we try to tell people. You know, it's an irony, right? I remember telling I seen neighborhood kids growing up who were sheltered, even though we lived in a good neighborhood, but it was middle. Yeah, it was a middle to lower.
Yeah.
Right? The longer we stay there, it got lower and lower. And the idea is that we're trying to raise our kid. We don't take, even it's a better raising than we had, that please don't take this for granted, right? Please don't have these ideals. Please don't, see
right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So you talked about, that bitch voice. That's weaponizing your voice, right? But that doesn't always.
Yeah, no, listen, if it's not authentic, it's fake. A criminal can, a wolf can smell a sheep from miles away.
Yeah. Let me tell you a quick story that I think it's funny, and it's about me. I was an unintentional creeper.
This is a hoot. I'll listen all day. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my wife and I were out one time at a outdoor, I think it was like a New Year's Eve party up downtown somewhere. And I saw a woman that I thought was like a neighbor that we knew as an acquaintance, not friends or anything, but I thought we knew her. And I went up and said, "Hey, how's it going?" But it wasn't her. And she went, "I do not know you. Get away." I went, "Fair enough." And I thought, it could have hurt my feelings. I could have been like, "Man, what's her problem?" But you know what her problem was? Nothing. She didn't know who I was. And who knows what was going on. Did
you have that "what's your problem" kind of thing?
What's that?
Did you have that "what's your problem" kind of thing?
No, not actually. I took it right away. Like, I don't know you. I mean, I knew I made the mistake right when she said that. I was like, yep.
Was there an apology that followed?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you know what? She wasn't having any of it. She cut it off right now. I was like, "I'm really sorry," and she was like, gone.
Yes, you are, you young whippersnapper.
Yeah, she shut it down, and it was. So I kind of sat there like admiring it, like, great, all right,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
right.
So,
that's awesome.
but I don't know if she practiced that. I don't know if she had trauma.
Let's stop there for a second. Let's talk about these rings. These rings are an imaginary ping, like a radar ping, like a sonar that we give off. When you see people walking down the streets as a creeper, you're doing something that this world does all. It's called data mining.
Yeah.
And they're stealing data from you and you don't even know it, right? When you think of having an upset stomach, you get an ad for Tums the very next second on your phone.
Right.
That's because they're selling your information. It's data mining, right? And so what's happening for predators is they're data mining. You are telling on yourself all the time. Now, when you're thinking of this, you're thinking of the lady who walks home every day from work and takes the train and then does this and then has this routine that's visible to most. Other than that, you'd have to be into someone's neighborhood that's visible. But the rings are about the pings. And if you're from a densely populated area, your ping is smaller because you see people all the time. It's very easy to slip among in and out those people. In the suburbs, it's always, I seen the same car 3 times, Mr. Officer. Not the same person, the same vehicle. You see what I'm saying? It's a bigger,
Absolutely.
it's a different kind of ring.
Right.
And in your self-protection, the more you are honest as a female with the fact that you need training that then fosters an attitude. If you try to have an attitude without the training,
We'll see right through it.
Will still smell your sheepness no matter what you're wearing.
Yeah. I tell people that I'm training, they've done this 1,000 times more than you have. I mean, they're good at it.
We're good at it, yeah. Like the guy told you, put the thought into it. Those are guys that make movies after.
Absolutely. That's right.
Right? But the idea is to say, listen, first and foremost, who would miss me when I was gone? Right? If you are someone who says, nobody's going to miss me if I was gone, man, there's some places who can help you. Now, if you can say, or if you say that no one's going to miss me if I'm gone, then there's some places that can help you. That probably sucks. Reach out to some friends and some people. If people are going to miss you if you're gone, man, then train up. Try to stay around as long as possible, you know. And I just find it ironic today. And again, I'll say it, that women don't train, and it's hard for me when I hear these stories. Man, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry you're involved in an abusive relationship and he hit you. When did that become okay for you? I ask you, when that became the measure of success, well, how is that not a barometer that changes the path? And you ask these questions, and in whatever underlying Dr. Phil thing you got going on, that's your thing, man. But you know, the best defense against a gun is not to put yourself in front of one. But I guarantee you, if I know I am going out in public, my gear is appropriated and proportionate to what I may have to handle to get myself back through this door. Does that mean I'm walking around M16? No, it doesn't. But you can be sure I am weaponized my hands and something else, right? For sure. As every man should be, if your state allows. To not do so would be irresponsible. And if you are a woman laying on the beach, half naked, it would not be, ladies, a bad idea to be weaponized. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it is your responsibility. It's men's responsibility not to act that way.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, and it's a
period.
Shouldn't have to do that.
No mistake about that.
Right? It shouldn't have to do that, but that's the world we live in.
That is the world we live in. Right? Yeah. We had to listen to this. This is obviously we don't talk about politics because that's just ignorant. But someone was asking me about the abortion thing, where I stood, and I first was like, "Dude, none of your business." But I'll tell you that. He said, "So you're pro-life?" I said, "Yes." And he goes, but I don't think government should have to dictate that, right? So I am pro-choice, but I'd like to live in a world that your choice was life.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. That's the world I'd like to live in, right? Where someone doesn't have to force me to make a decision where I go, man, you know what I'm saying? And whatever that looks like for those, you know what I'm saying? So it's not a matter of pro-choice or pro-life. It's yes and, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's kind of how that training is. Yeah, I'm not saying you have to train at your responsibility, but kind of you should do that. You should be. I want to live in a world where that doesn't happen either, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? So weaponize yourself. You know the statistics are out there, and that's what every self-defense guy does, right? It's go 1 in 5 women. Right? Don't be a statistic. Hey, you out there, you're the next victim. And they do this fear-mongering thing, and I'd rather show you what your life looks like after the training. And that's what it looks like. It looks like the woman who's sending out that broad ping. Boom. And the people around her, there's something about her. And the criminal goes, nope, next. No, next. I'm telling you that.
Yeah, they're perceptive. They can see it. Yeah,
dude, I can smell it. I know. Because you can smell. You can the way someone. And I don't mean are you distracted? Are you this? Now, obviously, people talk on the phone, and you should seek a place that will teach you how to fight with your phone, not to see somebody else to tell you don't talk on your phone. Yeah. That is an unrealistic expectation. Yeah. Here is a balance: wear and talk through headphones. Hands-free. And the person you're talking to can hear you fighting somebody. You can give eyewitness testimony. You can say where you're at that whole time you're in defense. That's a great half place. But if you are going to be on your phone and you are texting, then learn how to use your phone as that thing for as far as the creeper goes. You know, that's a big piece of hard glass,
Right.
a good palm strike could, shatter that thing against someone's face really good.
Absolutely.
And the corners of it, So I'm not saying don't ever have your phone out and pay attention. Obviously, that's the perfect world. But again,
It's not realistic today anyway.
it really isn't. Like when people say, well, check under your car, check behind your seat, check under the hood, check your trunk. That's so unrealistic. Could you imagine? I want you to think for a second. I want you to look at, you're walking into the parking garage of Target or wherever you're at, and there's just all of a sudden everybody in the parking lot, you see them doing a 360.
Right. They pull out their mirrors or under.
That's happening, right? They got the thing right, the thing with the mirror underneath, like the CIA people.
Get the dog out of the trunk, sniff around.
Right. Those are all great ideas, and we should be very vigilant all the time. But again, we're supposed to be living in a country where those things are deterred from happening.
Yeah.
Well, willing to go to jail for a few bucks or for hurting somebody. But guess what? People don't see the world the way I see it. In some people's world, dude, you got caught. Sorry about your luck. You should have been paying attention.
Yeah. Well, and the thing I love about all that is instead of training because of fear, right, or because of trauma, it's training because of confidence and self-fulfillment or self-belief. Like I'm worth it, and the people around me will.
Yes,
lose if I'm gone or if I'm hurt or incapacitated. And it's you're right. It's not like some kind of like pie in the sky. Like now I know some techniques. It's a confidence that doesn't just carry over to not being afraid in the street.
You know what? I think you could look at it as in some way of saying that, wow, I've realized my self-value, and me standing up for myself is a form of expression.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you have self-value, there's purpose. It's like, you know what, man? Yeah, I do need some work, but yeah, I value what's here right now. We are going to get better. And then so there's this false humility that people have. But once people have self-value, they look at their life and they go, man, you know what? This is valuable to me. My Instagram meme for today, right, is like this. Big John McCarthy holding up Tito Ortiz's hand, right? And Tito standing proud as he should. That's no easy feat, right?
Right.
And the next picture is a family holding it. And one of it says, you will come to focus, not for moments like these, but you come to focus because of moments like these. And I think anybody who's looking or thinking and listening to this is occupying some sense of, dude, I got a family, I've got kids. A woman listening is going, yes, this is valuable information, right? The hope here is that we can educate people a little bit enough that it's enough for that moment, right?
So weaponizing yourself, not because you're afraid or paranoid or anything, but because you feel like you're worth it. My life is worth it. The life we live, right?
Yeah, and now you're going to fight for it.
Absolutely.
You're going to fight for it. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, and I always tell people, look, this is super simple, this thing, saving your life. It's super simple, but no way, shape, or form easy.
Yeah.
No way, shape, or form easy. And that's some tough questions, and that's okay. Because you know what? And people always say, Mike, man, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect. I had a guy yesterday, he came train with me, and this guy owns a Krav Maga school. It's pretty well. His school does great. He's doing pretty good. And he was like, yeah, I didn't know what to expect. And here's a guy who's seasoned in what he does. And I hear that a lot. And I think it's like, you want to try to relate to people like, look, I know it's nervousness, right? I know you don't know what to expect. And it's I'm going to feel I'm going to feel like I look stupid.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and so my question is, well, that's just the first day of everything you've ever done in your life.
That's right. Everything's hard and everything sucks at first.
Sure. So here's the thing. I just ask you that you come try it out and you get over that hump, and you don't use that as an excuse not to save the life of your family. It's not about a bell hanging over your head. It's about, and here's the ironic thing is, the more that you train, the likelihood of that happening diminishes. When you're an MMA fighter, you kind of like, there's people out there who train who want to fight. They want to prove themselves. A guy asks him for change and he's drawing his blade out of his pocket, and you're like, really, dude? Come on, slow down. Right? Or something like that. There's everybody looking to prove themselves. I mean, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Be careful for that. You don't want none of that. Right? And so equipping yourself and weaponizing yourself is about saying that I value myself. Anything that you value, you have some sense of insurance on. I got life insurance. I got health insurance. I value my health. I value my life. I value my home. I value my possessions. Car insurance, house insurance, you value. Where's your safety insurance?
Safety insurance, yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing? How is it that you can be in your 20s? How is it you can be in your 20s, your 30s, be single, whatever your situation as a female, and not know that somewhere, just simply because you're female, you have a target on you? And it's not right. I'm not saying it is. But marching and holding a sign isn't going to stop the predatorial nature of man. There's that dark, deep itch some men have to scratch.
Right.
It is not logical. The real man has the ability to sustain, be obedient to a higher purpose and cause, and loyal to, all of that. But
yeah, and I say go ahead and march that and show the outrage and protest against it.
Sure.
Do that.
Sure.
That's all good.
Make sure you're weaponized.
But make sure you're weaponized.
Yeah.
And pay the cost to train.
And I ask myself what the real difference is. And the difference is, first of all, men need to speak to men. This is not a woman's problem. This is a men's problem. So let me be clear about that. This is not about women dressing a certain way and they should be prepared and it's not our fault. No, it's a men's problem. And men need to speak to other men. They need to start in prison. They need to start in grade school, and they need to start in the home. They need to tell son, a man doesn't hit a woman. I see videos now out in the hood, man. Men are beating women on the playground like they're other men. I have never felt as a man so dishonored in my life, and go, wow, that's what this world has come to. Now, there's a logic that says, woman, if you don't want to be hit, don't throw a punch.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with that logic. However,
that's for the woman, not the man, though.
Yeah, that's her guideline. My guideline is I don't hit her anyway.
Right.
Now, obviously, if she poses a physical threat to me, I mean, I've been a bouncer, been security. You got to do what you got to do sometimes. You get someone who's trying to hurt you. It is what it is, right? So self-protection aside, it is a man's issue.
Agreed.
And how he treats a woman starts from his mom and is deciphered by the father, right? The mother demands the respect, and the father explains that respect, right? And so I think it starts there. And so that's what the issue needs to be. It needs to be more men raising better men, and knowing that being a man isn't about submissing a female. It's about setting her free, right? And so then you, me, people like us, we try to cultivate that style. And I think we're doing a good work in that. But for women, I think you can also do your part by telling a motherfucker no the best way possible. Pain. It's the best teacher there is.
That's true.
Like, I used somebody had, Mike, your dogs are so well behaved and they know sign language. How do you get them to do that? Pain mostly.
Right. Yeah, or even the things that I've done or had to learn.
By the way, I'm just joking. I don't need Peter calling me, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. The pain of not feeding them right away. I've learned really hard lessons and really deep, good lessons from causing myself a lot of pain, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, instant pain. It says a lot.
Yeah, you know what? That's a story. What's interesting is because most of our stories, if you've been following us, you'll find that most of our stories, what happens to the victim is you see a transformation from white to red. Now, if you don't know the color code system, it's a basic system whereby you measure the progression of aggression, behavior, situational or environmental variances that lead you from one to another, exploding in some violent act. So it would be white, yellow, orange, and red. We would progress and we would describe each one of those behaviors. Thus far, every one of those has gone from white to red.
Right.
Or black, if you're that. I'm that person who believes black is the actual fight. Right? So right before the fight came, we went from being calm. So the guy walks up to a car, punches it. So, right? Every story we've told involved that. This story had an actual progression. This creeper story has an actual progression. And if you are a victim of kidnapping, if you're a victim of rape by stranger, it was not random. He has been watching you. He knows you. He knows your patterns. So predatorial behavior is a recognizable thing. Actually, in terms of women's defense, domestic violence is the number one preventable crime in America. domestic homicide. How many times did he need to hit you before you figured out he was going to kill you?
Yeah.
Right? Gavin DeBecker goes into that in his book, The Gift of Fear. He put together a software for the FBI called, I think, Mosaic or something like that. Clever cat. But the idea is pretty much to say the same thing. If you're going to autopsy your day, where do you find yourself most vulnerable for foul behavior? Half naked laying on sand might be one of those places. And so training for that's a good idea. Train from your back. Be vocal with people, and our training in any reality-based training should be learning how to weaponize yourself with your voice, like you said,
Yeah. And carry a weapon. Learn to train, learn how to use it.
I think it comes down to eventually, we talk about really trying to prepare yourself mentally and really try to meet you where you're at emotionally, and always know what you can do here makes a matter of what you do here. And to defend against a gun, the first thing you can do is not put yourself in front of one. So there's a lot of times where brains will outbeat brawn. Most of the time, if you're street smart, most people are street smart, and they're not by accident or not because they took a course, because they took a hard turn in life. And no matter what smart you are, you do need backup. You do need to weaponize yourself. So you can always dance around it, but whether it's through focus or whether it's just somebody, get yourself some training, for goodness sake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Get yourself some training. The kind of training, I don't want you to take the kind of training where you just be honest and just don't do the kind of training where you walk out and you go, yeah, I don't know, Jess, I don't think that would work.
Yeah. Or I don't know if I could
Too complicated for me. I couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to go, man, woo, that was some harsh. Wow. It's like jumping out of a plane, a roller coaster at least. Wow, that was right. So give and find a place that will give you the experience of surviving a violent attack, not just learning some crap that will look good at the Christmas party.
The parlor trick, yeah. Well, that's good. Well, good. So that's a great summary. That's great input. So we'll continue, and next time we'll look at some different stuff, and we're going to get into some pretty intense stuff at some point here. Break down some complex stories, but
I want to share something real quick. I've been putting some stuff on Facebook, and I'm getting a lot of feedback from you guys. And when I ask people what they're afraid of, Kirk, you know what they always say?
What's that?
Home invasion. Home invasion. Why do you think that is?
Oh, you're asleep a lot of times at night.
Here's why I think it is. I think by law and by moral code, that is a place where I have the greatest expectation of privacy and safety.
That's true. You have the greatest leeway by law for self-defense there. That's true.
Absolutely. But the law is supposed to supports that sense that I have, that this is my property, this is my safety, and I'm well within my right to defend it. Therefore, it is a place I feel safe. So imagine that. So before we get into some home invasion, I want you to think about that, because home invasion is probably the scariest thing anyone could ever go through.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. All right. Well, we will talk to you later. Thanks a lot.
See you guys.